Hello everyone. In my previous YouTube videos on QMK or mechanical keyboards, people often ask me basic questions in the comment. So I think I will just explain all those QMK basic features in this video. So first, what do I mean by QMK basic features? So for example, uh, let's see, we go to QMK configurator. And you can see it actually lists all the possible keys. I mean, if it's a J, it will have a code name called KCJ at the very bottom. I mean, these are all the basic keys, and there are other basic keys and some kind of more complicated keys. I basically consider all these keys as basic features. And then I can just go through them one by one and tell you what they are. Also, if you already use Vial, let me bring it up. So you can see it also has basically the same thing. And if you hover onto it, it also show you the key code. And it have a little bit better organizations. So all the layer keys are put together. It already has some explanation of what it is. And it also has another one talking about the so-called quantum keys and the backlight controls, media controls. Okay, maybe it's easier to just go through the ones here. And also, by the way, if you use Vial, it actually contains more advanced settings like combos and like macros and auto shift and tap downs. Actually, I don't have tap downs here, but it's also possible to enable it in the Vial. Okay, let me just go through the ones from the QMK configurators. Okay, so if you set the key as not available, or in other words, you can see it says KC no, that key does nothing. And if you set it to be this symbol, or this is a transparent key, it just means it will show the key that's under the current layer will be activated. Okay, what about reset? This is when you try to fresh the firmware. You could some keyboard you can make a reset button for fresh the firmware, or you can have a software button, software key, and you press that reset key, and then your keyboard will be ready to fresh the firmware. So this one debug I never used. I think if you set a key there, it will go into the debug mode, and you can see more information from say the configure. You need to hook into some software, and then the software, when you press the keys, it will show up. It will show you more debug informations. And this one, so this is kind of like a persistent memory on the disk, and you can, for example, use this double EEPROM to save some information to distinguish, for example, which keyboard is the left one. Say you have a split keyboard, you can set something into this kind of persistent memory, and to distinguish which one is the left hand, which one is the right hand. I mean, and you can use this to reset them. I mean, this is not a very common key to set. Like debug is also not very common to set. I never use this repeat key. I mean, it says it repeat last key pressed. I don't know why you would want to do that. Similarly, this is some very uncommon key. So this any, it's like if you set a key as any, then you can I mean, if you do it from the GUI, it's not very useful. If you do it from the C code, if you can put in more complicated combinations of keys, but there's no guarantee the complicated thing you put in is valid. So since we focus on the basic features, you don't need to worry about this key. Okay, now we go to the layer and layer tab function keys. So let me tell you what LT is. So LT is like when you hold this key, it is 0. But when you just press this key, you can set another key in here. I can show you this example. It's like when you hold on to this key, you will make the keyboard layer 2. But if you just tap it, you can trigger that escape key. I think MO means if you hold on to it, it triggers that layer. But if you tap it, there's nothing happening. That would be my guess. I don't really use it. I think that's what it does. Okay, so this one just toggle it on and off. It's like you press that, say you do TG1, and you press it, your current layer becomes the first layer. And if you press it again, it will come back to your previous layer. And this one is to that layer. So if you press it, let's say you also need to set a number there, it will go to that layer, but it only goes there. It's like one way, unlike this toggle, which is two ways. It will just stay there. So you will have to set another key that makes you come back. I don't really use these ones because I feel they are not that useful. Those LTs are more useful because you will only go there momentarily. Yeah, this TT is also less useful. There's another setting which is related to T. So you see it, if you click multiple times, it will go back to the original layer. And I think the default might be 5 or something. It's one of the QMK settings. I mean, this one is also not that useful because I think for those layers, the layer toggle is the most useful one. Yeah, default. And this is also not. It's like I think this is more like you can dynamically set what is the default layer, which I actually don't know why you want to do such setting. What is OSL switch layer on one key press? Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this one is. Okay, and also now that we have another set of mod key combinations. So this one's is like when you hold them, it becomes those modifier keys. And you can also set another key here. So if you tap it, it's that simpler key. I might have some of this set. Yeah. So for example, here, if you hold it to it, it's left control. And if you tap it, it's escape. Or here, right shift or enter. So it's pretty straightforward, like what they mean. Oh, sorry. So there's a difference between the first line and the second line. So you can see the second line, it says underscore T. The first line doesn't have underscore T. If it doesn't have, this is what I use. So it's essentially make one key into two keys. The hold and the tap mean different things. But the first row, it just means if you press that key, let's say you have A here. You press that key, it will be equivalent to press the left shift and that A together. So you get a capital A. I think that's also less useful. And also you have a bunch of special ones here. And they just mean the holding part is not just holding one key, it's holding multiple keys. For example, you see this CS means you are holding control and shift together. And this LCA means control alt together. Okay, this is also somewhat useful. I think I also use that. I mean, RCG. Oh, so yeah, so I mean, this might be due to my special setting. Let me talk about these two. These two are more straightforward. So this is like shift and GUI together, and you do the left and the right bracket. And if you have a web browser, it will shift between the tabs. If you have iTurn 2, it also shift between the tabs, which is quite useful. I think these two might be related to iTurn 2 mouseless mode, and the other one triggers. I think maybe I set it to trigger the what is this thing called? Trigger the Alfred clipboard. Okay, so all these ones are all similar. It amounts to holding multiple keys while you press one key. Okay, these are some special key combos, and you can use some software to catch those special modifiers and define your custom functions. For example, if you use some productivity tools, for example, the Alfred or I forgot the name. There's another software which can modify the keys on Mac. Yeah, these are. Uh, if you are really a beginner, you probably don't need to worry about them either. It's just like normally you can just do Control Alt or Command, and they can have some special trigger, some special functions for different applications. But if you want to define your custom ones, then you can hold on more than just a single modifier key, and then you can define whatever function you want out of them. Okay, now this is the one-shot modifier keys. So this one, it means if you set this one on a key and you press it you press it, it looks like nothing happens. But then if you press A, then you will get a capital A. So it's like you buffer a modifier and it acts on the next keystroke. Similarly for left control, left alt, left GUI. It might be useful if you prefer to not hold a key, so you can use this kind of buffer way. I don't really use this. They are these ones are basically some special. They correspond to some combo of these keys, but maybe they are used so often, so someone just give them a name. For example, this one means when you hold it, it's the right shift, and when you tap it, it's enter. Well, you can just do it using say this one, and you set the enter key inside. It's just some easier way to I mean, this is pretty a common thing to do, so they just give you names give you a special name for these special combos. Okay, now we can go to this one. I mean, this one also not very useful. You can swap certain keys when you press this button. And then these are some backlighting, which I don't really use, and there's RGB settings, which I don't really use. Okay, then there are media keys. They are also pretty self-explanatory. You can, I mean, many of them depend on the system, and they might or might not work. The common ones are the media keys: mute, volume up, volume down, and the light up, light down, and brightness up and down. Those copy paste might or might not work. I think these are platform dependent. They probably work on Windows but might not work on Mac. So on my Mac, I actually use Apple C for copy. So I need to set a special special combo there. I mean, the mouse keys they correspond to the buttons, and I don't really use them. At one point, I set them on my keyboard and I never use them. The wheel keys might be slightly useful if you scroll through the web pages. Yeah, and I don't really use those functional keys, but you can. I mean, depending on the platform, maybe you want to set some trigger some special script using them. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. Hope this is useful. I think the most useful part are here. Okay, thanks for watching.